Hello, we are back. What is up? It's me, Nautica Gaming, back again, doing another New World video for everybody. Hopefully the first one was helpful. If it was not, I'm very sorry to hear that. But this one, as promised, we're going to be talking about the various perks that apply in all the weapons for our, weapons, gear, jewelry, pretty much anything, tools even. So there's pretty much like anything you can think of that has a potential for a perk. There's like 400 of them. I mean, maybe even more than that. I don't even know if I'm being honest with you. Let me see here. We've got a bunch. We have an absolute bunch here. So that is definitely something. We've got a lot going on here. 142 for the first column. A couple bunches for the next columns. Doesn't matter. Either way, here's what's going on. I have tried to separate this out based on the usage of said perks, I guess. So I would like to start right here in the middle with this goodie. This good stuff. Love it. We are looking at the craft mod for one and what it does for your general statistics. So here we are. Let me try to zoom in enough so that way it's clear on the screen. Here we go. This is all of your attribute point boosters. So let's do a quick count here. So this is from 2 all the way down to 26, which means there's 25 different perks you can use to get various attribute boosts. So with attribute boosts, it all depends on what weapon you're using. So as we've mentioned before, we've got, of course, various weapons that scale with different attributes. So if you're looking for focus and dexterity, I'll start right at the top. Focus and dexterity, that's going to be, well, the focus. So the focus is the primary attribute for your life staff. Focus is also something that you're going to need to use for your void gauntlet if you're looking to get one of those, which it can work. It's not a bad play, truthfully. Dexterity, that is for like your one-handed weapons. So you're looking at dexterity being very helpful for I guess it's one and two hand weapons. So like dexterity is the main attribute for the rapier, which as we know is my go-to. Dexterity, and I could actually go through a full detail, give you a full amount of details in regards to like what the specific weapons to use with specific attributes. Now, if we go to the main screen, which I think I might actually do, and I probably should have thought about this before let's see here, let me just pull it up real quick. New World. Probably should have done this before I started the video, but hey, you know what? You live and you learn, I guess. So while we're here, as we can see, there are plenty of options. So you're looking at a couple of options that give you the dual attribute bonuses, which will scale as well based on your own level of ability. So there's a chance you can get up to, depending on what you're doing, there's a chance you can get up to tier 3, which gives you like focus and dexterity, like up to, well, I guess it'll be tier 5 weapons, really. Tier 5 weapons are going to be your legendaries or your, they can be pretty much rare through legendary. So there can be really anything. So what I can tell you is that if you have a tier 5 weapon, you're going to have 30 attribute bonus, which is super helpful. So that's always cool. My dexterity, I'll pull up my main, gonna pull up my main tune real quick here. Continue. Love that. And I'm not gonna do the US East one. I'm gonna do the US West one because that's my max character. There we go. And I've already done the winter stuff, so let me just queue it up real quick. This might take a sec because it's West Coast, which means I have a little bit higher ping. But here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pull this up. We're going to look at the specifics when I pull it up, so that way you'll have an idea of what the weapons are. As soon as that does load in, I'm just going to quickly pull up my attribute skill tree, and then I'll be able to let you know. But what I can tell you, at least moving forward, the rapier uses the dexterity and intelligence. So a couple options. You can either use a perk that gives it just dexterity, or you can give it a perk that uses just intelligence. And if you were to do that, then you can... Actually, I need this page. Actually, that's great. Property tax overdue. I should probably get on that. So here we go. Dexterity. Let's start with strength. Primary. The sword and shield scales with strength. So does the great axe. The warhammer. The warhammer and great axe are uniquely strength oriented. The sword and shield, strength and dexterity. Same with the hatchet. So the primary is always going to be first listed. So for the sword and shield, you're going to need the strength. For the hatchet, you're going to need the strength. And you're going to need dexterity as the secondary attribute, which I believe is 65%. It's 90-65 is how that works. The spear, looking at it this way, strength is the secondary, dexterity is the primary, which is what we see here. Spear primary is dexterity, secondary strength. Dexterity and intelligence applies for the musket, the rapier. The bow is only dexterity. The hatchet, going back to this one, same with the sword and shield. Primary strength, secondary dexterity, easy enough. Intelligence. Ice Gauntlet is only intelligence. Fire Staff is only intelligence. Void Gauntlet, like I was saying earlier, is intelligence and focus. The primary is intelligence. The rapier, as we said, dexterity and intelligence. Same with the musket. Focus. The life staff is only for focus. Void Gauntlet is both. Focus is the secondary, intelligence is the primary. Constitution, that's your general health, so that gives you what your HP is, essentially. So let me actually pull up my rapier. This one I actually bought on the trading post because I certainly don't have the skill level to do this. So whoever put it together, I did put the gem in there. I found it with an empty gem slot, super helpful. I did put the gem in there so I can get empowered 4. 50% of damage is converted to arcane. We talked about that in the last video. Vicious, I get 11% more critical damage. Hated to generate more threat, but I kind of like really don't need that because of the pure power behind this thing. Siphoning Blow, I get mana per hit. I'm not really using mana to a point unless I'm equipping. There we go, 200 and 160, that's better. So if I am equipping the Life Staff or the Fire Staff, which is kind of like my go-to, then the mana boost kind of helps, but I mean, I'm not using one and then swapping to the other, so it's not super helpful. This one has Dexterity and Constitution. Constitution, like I said, gives me that health boost. This is all intelligence. I only have 29 instead of 30 because it is a green level tier 5 Fire Staff. This is purple, so I get 28, but they split it up between 2 items. Plus I have 2 perks plus a gem slot. So a lot of options there. I get 3 perks and a gem slot for gold, 2 perks and a gem slot for purple. Blue is going to be your rare one, so that's going to usually give you 3 perks depending on what you do. There we go, Gathering Alacrity, Durable, and Azoth Extraction. So you're going to get 3 perks typically with blue, or 2 if it's something like gear, basically. These are all very solid gear scores. Like my gear score is 575, plus I have a lot of good resistance to damage items, which is super cool. So that's kind of like the basic on what weapons use what. So let me go back to our Excel here. So if we are looking to do it this way, these are what you're going to need. And you can find a lot of these pretty much just in like supply crates and stuff. And you can also sometimes find them from enemy drops. So there's 25 to choose from here. You pick the one that works best for your build. Now, you also have to consider when you're using attribute points, you have to consider too, like, okay, well, how many attribute points do I want to put towards a specific item? And then, you know, use these bonuses, if you will, to like offset that. So you're not putting like 200, well, you only get 190 attribute points. So let's say you're not going to put 100 attribute points into dexterity. You don't have to. You can get like a few things, clothing, apparel. Well, clothing is apparel. Clothing, jewelry, weapons, you know, all of that stuff can have those bonuses right there. So really, if you're looking to just focus on dexterity, the dexterity you can get, I mean, if we'll go back, I'll just go back real quick. So you can get 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180, 210, 240, 270, 300. So you can get 300 dexterity points if you're making gear that has 30 dexterity boost only. Trouble with that is they all have to be gold gear. They all have to be gear score 600. Good luck with that. Have a good time grinding out that abilities, grinding out those abilities. It's tough. I'm not gonna lie. It's a grind. I always say it's a grind. You can do it. It's not easy. It's definitely doable. I've put a lot of these with dexterity because the rapier is my primary, so, and I threw some intelligence on there as well, a little bit of focus and constitution because of the life staff. Life staff. No, that's right. Life staff, fire staff is here. So yeah, it all depends on what you want to do. So that's that side. Let me go over to the right just a bit, and then here's the craft mod. So tree sap gives you, just start at the top. Tree sap will give you a bonus for focus and dexterity, and it also gives the artificer trait, I guess. So like for this here, it's the empowered defiled rapier of the ranger. So the of the ranger part, that's going to be this here. This is going to be somebody used leather beaded straps when they were creating the rapier to get the ranger suffix. That's what it's called. That's the word I couldn't find, to get that dexterity bonus. So that's how that works. This is just like of the whatever. Let me go back to of the brigand. That's for dexterity constitution, just one. This is of the scholar, so it's just intelligence. Makes sense, actually, now that I think about it. Let's see here. Same with this. The occultist gives you that intelligence constitution. The brigand, again, we see with dexcon. Ranger, dexterity. Ranger, dexterity. So that's how the suffixes work based on what you're doing. Moving over to the next side here, these are, and all these numbers that you're seeing here are in percentages. So we'll see that in just a second here. But like if you're looking to boost, let's see here. I like this one. If you're going to do this is pretty cool. Actually, you know what? Let me go this way. That's what I need to do. There you go, perfect. Perk name, Armor Mastery. So you're going to get an Armor Mastery if you equip an Orichalcum Armorer's Charm to an earring. And that's what that item in the parentheses. For some of these I'm missing parentheses because I couldn't actually find where you attach them to. I just haven't done that much research, but I can do, and I will do. And some I don't actually know what the craft mod is. But using the Armor Mastery, you're going to get a +5 base crafted gear score for any armor items you make, which goes on to an earring. And that is with the Orichalcum Armorer's Charm. So that gives you that, which is very nice. So if you're making low to mid-tier items, you're going to get that 5 base craft number boost, which is kind of cool. So instead of spitting out, say, like a gear score 512, you're going to get a gear score 517, when it should be a gear score 512. So that's pretty cool. If you're looking to do stuff like that, it applies for every single trade skill. So alchemy, arcana, armor, cooking, so the kitchen stuff, engineering, more gourmands, but and that's for bags though. So if you're looking to put stuff in your bag, then you're going to decrease. It has certain effects on if you're decreasing the weight of some items, which is nice. The burden perk always is going to decrease the weight of that specific item that you need, or that's in your bag rather. So Mercenary's burden is going to decrease the weight of weapons and ammo by 5 to 10%. That's where I mean the all numbers are in percent up here. You're going to decrease the weight of wood 5 to 10%. And this goes to your, if you're putting a drop of sap when you're crafting a bag, you'll get the Lumberjack's Burden perk. And that's what we saw. Actually, you know what? Since I have the game pulled up, that is going to be like Warfare Satchel, Gator Leather Satchel, Rugged Leather Adventure Satchel. So I suppose let's do this one. The extra pockets, you can hold 84 more weight. Cool. That's the perk name, Tanner's Burden. So extra pockets is Tanner's Burden. If you want to do that, extra pockets you're going to need a sliver of Adderstone, which increases your weight limit 50 to 95 pounds. Super cool. And then, what was the other one with that? Tanner's Burden. Tanner's Burden, that's going to be down here. That's going to be with an animal thing. Now, here's the thing. You can only equip one craft mod in your crafting. So you're pretty much, it's up in the air what other perks you might get. If you add Azoth to a craftable item, you're going to increase the chance of a secondary or tertiary perk. So that's definitely something you want to think about doing. But the Tanner's Burden decreases the weight of rawhide and leather by 5 to 10 pounds. So that's by equipping an animal thing if you're putting a bag together, crafting a bag. So that's how that works. Weaving accumulation, since we're right here, this gives you a 2% yield when weaving, which means if you're actually in the city and you're doing some weaving work, you're going to get a 2% bonus on the stuff you. So if you're like putting in, let's say you're going to weave 100 linen out of 400 fibers, you're going to get 102 by default if you have the weaving accumulation perk. And I have to think that you put that on like your apparel. So like you're going to put that on your armor. It might go on your weapons too, but that would kind of be like a waste of time, honestly, because your weapons need to really be focused on like extra damage perks and stuff like that. So I wouldn't do that, but definitely like, I suppose you could put it on an earring, a ring, or an amulet, really. That's an option. Moving down here, these are for luck, fishing, efficiency, and yield, basically. So Let's see here. Do I have anything on an amulet that, whoops, that, not that one, I want this. Alacrity, enfeebling. Yeah, it looks like I don't have anything that, well, here's an example of Jewel Crafter Mastery. +5 minimum Jewel Crafter crafted item quality. So if you're making something at the Jewel Crafter station, or in the Jewel Crafter's portion of the stone cutting or workshop, you're going to get a base boost of 5 gear score. So that's always cool. I love the regenerating perk because that is super helpful if I'm not walking around with a life staff. You're going to get your health back if you just take a break. Just get out of combat for a sec. Well, I mean, if you're just traveling, like if you're in PvE, obviously you don't have a lot of options with that. And that's when you use like your travel rations, satisfying meals, potions, things like that. So that's how that works. Let me see, what else do I have here? Azoth extraction. I was fortunately able to find on the trading post everything that gives me Azoth extraction, which means that I'm almost always guaranteed to get some Azoth when I'm doing my regular tool stuff. I have to get tier 5 of this, which I'm working on as well. I also would like to find a fishing pool that has some perks. But in regards to perks for fishing, freshwater colossus, as far as I know, you can't force this stuff. As far as I know, it's just depending on, it's random through the game. So like if you are crafting a newer fishing pole and you're putting Azoth into it, I mean, I think there are some items you can put on there to get some perks, but like for freshwater colossus, for example, increases the chance of catching large fish in freshwater. I don't think there's an actual craft mod for that. Could be wrong. I'm maybe not, just didn't find it yet. And if anybody does know, cool, let me know in the comments below. That would be awesome. That's how this stuff works. I'm just trying to think if there's anything particular that I need to really like go over with that. Skinning luck, I guess I'll talk about something like this here. So for skinning stuff, and this applies for any gathering skill that you need to work on. Skinning efficiency will increase your skinning speed by 5 to 23%. That's always cool. You'll be able to skin those like big, heavy predators a lot quicker. Skinning luck, it increases the rare drops from skinning 2 to 9.3%, and that only is equipable to your skinning knife. And that is by using a Star Metal Skinner's Charm. If you're using an Orichalcum Skinner's Charm, then you're increasing your total skinning items by 10 to 19%, and that gives you the skinning yield perk. So, for example, I'll use 100 because it's a nice round number. If you're somehow managing to pull 100 rawhide off of one predator, you're going to get 110 to 119 instead. That boosts it increases your base amount that you're actually getting. So that's always nice too. We talked about the yield when smelting, the yield part, the accumulation part, when stone cutting, when smelting. And this applies for, like I said, every single harvesting skill item you can find. Empty gem socket, this is something relatively new, I believe, that they added with the recent update. You need gem setting pins, and you equip that to your weapons, apparel, or a trinket, and it gives an empty gem spot. So if you're not able to... This is actually not really worth your time, unless you're very low level and you want that empty gem socket right away. But honestly, don't even worry about it, because like by the time you hit level 20, you can probably craft something that gives you that stuff. But if you're really, really looking to craft an item that is going to give you an empty gem socket, and you just don't have the skill level up enough to do it, and you don't want to throw Azoth on it, I mean, I guess that's fine. You need to equip the gem setting pins in your crafting screen to get the gem socket, and then you'll get a freebie with that. Now, you cannot get 2 gems to 1 weapon. That does not work. So that's going to be for all of that fun stuff. We're going to go back over here, and I can't go through 141 items here. I just can't do it. That would be like a 3-hour long video. Nobody's going to watch me for 3 hours. I'm lucky I get people who watch me for 3 hours when I actually stream. So here's how this works. Whatever you're going to equip to your items, and if the items are listed here, this is going to be the perk name that you get. So let me just throw... Is there something that I can put on? Because the rapier has kind of been my thing. So let me find something that I can do with the rapier. Here we go. Energizing Flourish. If you're putting a Star Metal Rapier Charm while you're crafting any level rapier, then... And you also have the Flourish ability unlocked. Are you still playing? Hold that thought. There we go. Let's go to the rapier. Flurry, how did I do it? Evade, flesh, flourish and finish. So here's the thing. You need to have this as something that you unlocked with your mastery points. So if you did unlock flourish and finish with Flare, for example, and I mean, if you have, like, if you do all this stuff, that's cool. All you have to do is have the flourish and finish one unlocked as your ability. And then if you get a flourish hit, you gain 5 to 19 stamina, which is really nice actually for the rapier, because with stamina, you kind of need to like move around a lot because it's close quarters only and enemies have very solid melee attacks. So something like this might be helpful if you're like just looking to just dig right in. And then this perk is called Energizing Flourish. So if you were, like I said, if you were to equip a Star Metal Rapier Charm to your rapier that you're crafting and you have unlocked the Flourish and Finish skill, then you will get this added bonus, which is nice. So that's how that works for, and apparently you can also put this on apparel as well from what I saw. So you can put this on your clothing. If you wanted to put that on like your boots or something, I guess you could. That kind of does help with stacking things for your rapier, if that's the rate or if that's the way you want to go. Let me find a few other rapier items. Here we go. Keen Tondo. So the same thing applies. If you have unlocked the Tondo option, if you have decided to use Tondo as one of your abilities, then, and you're crafting a rapier with a steel rapier charm, you increase your critical chance 2 to 11% on target with a Tondo bleed. So that's called the Keen Tondo perk. So if you're using Tondo, you hit a target, and they have a Tondo bleed, and this is just a regular attack. It doesn't have to be the Tondo. Like, you use Tondo, okay, you caused the bleed, great, now go in for another attack. This increases your critical chance 2 to 11% on that target, as long as you caused that bleed with the ability Tondo. That's how that works. And here we go. Orichalcum Rapier Charm. Leeching Flurry is going to be... Now, this could be something that I wanted to do. And so here's the difference, and this is... I can do another thing why I picked this route. But the Flurry... So, Flurry hits restore 10 to 28% of the damage dealt as HP. Which means if you're using Flurry and you're getting 5 successful hits, then you are going to get... If you took any damage, you're going to get that HP back for 10 to 28% of those Flurry hits. So that's kind of nice, because then you get HP back, and you don't, again, have to use the life staff. So there's options where you can actually gain HP just based on how you're crafting your items. And same thing with this and the one above. It can also go on apparel. So if you want to put it on your boots, your gauntlets, your leg, or your chest or headpiece, totally fine. You can do that. It works. But you have to really see whatever works for you. I mean, you're going to be having to, I guess, really craft enough as it is, so you might as well see what works for you. And the next rapier specific item, Reinforced Star Metal Rapier Charm. So if you're using Evade, where's that one? Evade. Here we go, Evade. Wonderful. And Adagio. So this is very specific. This is very, very specific. So if you have chosen to use Evade as one of your abilities, and you have also went through that skill tree to unlock the Adagio bonus, which evading forward gains 50% increased damage on your next light attack, which is actually very nice. It's not exactly super easy to do that, but it's a good way to like start. Honestly, it's a good way to start a fight, really, like with PvE stuff. If you're going to start and you're going to hit them with a evade right away, and you're evading forward, and then you're going to hit, so like you're pressing, for me it's R. You're pressing the R button. You get that like very quick burst of speed, and then you're spamming your left mouse button for the attack. Then you're going to get, and it's going to be a light attack, so it's just a single tap on the left mouse button. You're going to get a 15% damage increase on your next attack. So it's not a bad way to start a battle. And then once you do that, you can use, for me, I can use Flurry, which is just 5 quick cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, done. And then if they took enough damage, I'll finish with this. Just a quick spinorama type thing, and then you're going through them. You also get further away from them. The cool thing is if you are able to kill an enemy with this ability, because it has a 17-second cooldown, so it's going to have a 3.4-second cooldown if you actually kill an enemy with that ability, which is super cool. And then if you don't, but you are going back after that enemy, then within 5 seconds, the next critical strike will also deal 15% more damage. So this is like a damage stacking, which is really cool. And then you can also spam the left mouse button after you like hit the enemy. So if you're pressing F and you're going through, you do the damage to the enemy, you press the left mouse button, boom, you're going to turn around, you can hit them again. Then it also deals 115% damage, which is nice. The whole point of that is the Evade Adagio upgrade applied in any direction. So it's called the Omnidirectional Evade. So evading forward gains 50% increased damage. Cool. However, if you're equipping the Reinforced Star Metal Charm, then this Adagio can work in any direction. So you don't have to start the battle that way. You can be like to the left, to the right, or behind the enemy to do it, and then it'll still work. And then it's basically a guaranteed 15% increase of damage, which is kind of nice. So that can go on your rapier or your apparel, same as before. Easy enough. Next one, Refreshing Flesh. Flesh critical backstab reduces its cooldown by 5 to 19%. So if we're going back here, and like I was explaining with this here, if you're interrupting it, I mean, if you're using if you're using the quick lunge, then I suppose you don't really need to use the critical backstab reinforced rapier charm, because you're already going to reduce its cooldown significantly by 80%. I mean, I suppose this could work if you're if you're doing like, if you're coming up on like a predator, like an animal predator, and you're behind them, if you're just doing the F to do that, I mean, I suppose this is nice, because for one, you'll probably kill the animal, and then you'll have basically no cooldown, so it'll reset itself right away, which is nice. I mean, but really, I don't think it's exactly necessary, if you ask me. But this is just based on how I play. I mean, everybody plays differently, obviously, so that's something that think about. Rogue perk. By applying Whetstone, not sure, to any weapon, it increases backstab damage 5 to 19%. That's a nice feature. Siege damage. Siege, I believe, is unique to PvP stuff, or if you're participating in an outpost rush or an invasion, but I could be wrong on that. Siphoning Blow, we've already talked about, because I actually had it, so somebody used Divine Love Ectoplasm potentially on that. I'm just looking over, what else do we have here? Stamina recovery. If you're at less than 50% stamina, you gain 50 to 95 stamina if you equip a pristine horn when you're making your next amulet. So you have a lot of options, which is very cool. Riposte, another rapier specific item. So with the riposte, again, you need to use that as your you need to use that as your skill set. And if you do hit a successful riposte, you gain rend 5 to 14% on target for 10 seconds, meaning that slows them down. So I never really understood, and this could be just because I'm not that very quick to react, I suppose. Enter a defensive stance for 1 second. If struck during this ability, counter the attacker, dealing 50% weapon damage and stunning them briefly for 2 seconds. Like, you have to plan that perfectly. Like, you have to absolutely be right on task with your use of that weapon, or use of that ability, which is tough. I mean, it really is. And then if it is triggered successfully, all of your attacks become uninterruptible for 3 seconds, which is nice. Landing a riposte stun reduces other cooldowns, and that stun is also increased, which is nice. I mean, I like the way I've got it built. Obviously, people have different opinions, and people, want to do what they want to do, which is totally fine. But there's a lot going on here. I might actually post this portion of it just on I think I can post it somewhere on the YouTube. I'll have to figure that out. I can probably attach it to the actual video, which I will do. But there's a lot of weapon-specific items. There's an extra space in there. There's a lot of weapon-specific items, and there's a lot of general boosts that can work. Chance of getting some stuff back if you're equipping these items to your bag. So if you're using a musket or bow and you're using a star metal or steel engineer's charm on a bag, you can get arrows or ammo back on a successful hit. which is nice. There's a lot of after effects that can work too. So like here, for example, Plague Strikes. Heavy causes disease, which reduces healing for 24% on an enemy for 8 to 10 seconds by using a Draught of Blessed Water. Probably on a weapon. I'm probably on any weapon, I have to assume. Stamina regen. This is nice. Drop of Azalea Nectar increases stamina regen 5 to 9.5%. If equipped to an earring, gives you the Nimble perk. So there's a lot of specific items here. I'll see what I can do about getting this attached to the actual YouTube page. But there's a lot of fun items that you can, do here. Then you also have your basic resistance damage. So arcane damage just increases your arcane damage dealt. Arcane protection decreases the arcane damage you take. And if equipped to a shield, there's that 2 to 4.7% decrease of arcane damage as well. And then there's resistance to different area types. So blight resistance. So if you're getting attacked by blight creatures, blight monsters, whatever, blight enemies, you're going to see a 5.14.1% increase in your resistance to it. And then you can equip all kinds of fun stuff to make chain attacks versus 3 targets. Not recommended if you're in high level areas, because you will just be prepared for a big fight if you're chaining damage, so I do not recommend that. Then you just increase your general damage to things, decrease your general resistance to them. That's elemental. And then there's also the physical damage side, so you can increase your slash damage dealt, or you decrease the slash damage you take on your amulet. And this is the specific thing too, like there's rings, amulet, and shield equips that you need to do. So if I really wanted to be interesting, I can equip I can equip a thrust damage with a Draught of Corrupted Essence. I can equip that to a ring, and it'll boost my thrust damage, which is the main damage for rapier. So I can do that. There's just the super cool thing is there's so many options with what you can do. And now they've added, if you have fully charged heavy attacks, it does different things. So heavy attacks deal 5 to 19% more critical damage if you use a huge Traveler Stone. And that could be for weapons and apparel. I'm not sure. And then there's Trenchant Recovery. Heavy attacks heals player for 10 to 28% damage dealt. Nice feature. Fully charged heavy attacks also cause rend on an enemy for 14%, for 4 to 7 seconds, that is. And that slows them as well. And then there's the general fully charged heavy attacks increase your total damage output by 3 to 14%. So there's a lot of options you can do, which is cool. And then there's the enemy specific items that go to the weapons and the apparel. So what I liked to do is use the Shard of Daedalus on a rapier to increase my damage to corrupted, because like I was saying in the other video, I enjoy doing the corrupted invasions, and you're going to see a lot of corrupted enemies. So I like that. That's helpful. And, so you've got the Ancients, the Angry Earth, the Beasts, which are your predators, like your boars, your tigers, your lions, your any of that stuff, that your alligators, any stuff you run into just out there. Corrupted, and then the Lost. So those are your enemy-specific items. Kind of breezed through that real quick, but let me just zoom out so you guys can see what a mess this actually is. There's a lot going on here. I do want to post this on my channel, so I'll be able to do that for sure. But I appreciate everybody for watching and sticking it out for another half hour or so. So thank you so much for that. We'll get this posted up here, and we'll be continuing to send out more videos for you guys. So thank you so much. Please do hit that subscribe and the bell down there, so that way you know when I do post another video. And like I've always said, hopefully this is helpful. If it is not, I understand. I appreciate you taking the time. I will see you guys in Eternum. Also check out my live stream on Facebook Gaming, fb.gg/naughtygaming, Nauti. It's on my screen. But yeah, that's all I've got. So you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next video.